So what is the mystery? Not mystery event. You ain't say it was a mystery, but what is this event that you? I say mystery because you went
Mystery
and
event. And it
you
wasn't
went and it wasn't going on.
it's
Uh,
some
but what is it?
so it's a space where it made me think of what we do here at this podcast when somebody was explaining it to me. So it's in Bankhead, and it's a space where brothers get together and they just kind of voice their opinions about worldviews, things going on in the community, shit that they could do to help, shit that's happening that's detrimental, food conversation, like a round table in a community. And it's in Bankhead. My barber lived in Bankhead, and I wanted to. He told me about it, so I said I wanted to do it. But unfortunately, it wasn't this week that he thought it was when we pulled down there. But it seemed like something. I really was going. I wanted to. I was interested in seeing what people was talking about in there, but I was going to use it for content too. To be honest with
Yeah, nah, for sure. What can you describe Bankhead to the people that don't live in Atlanta or aren't familiar with Atlanta?
you. Yes. Think about your. Think about the poorest side of your city, the ratchet
Okay.
part. Wherever the Martin Luther King at in your city, wherever the Martin
Yeah.
Luther King Boulevard
Okay.
at, that's what Bankhead is. It's just like that. Just
That's
like
a
what they
great
rap about. Yeah.
great
So
reference point.
facts.
That's
So
where
I went.
that's where Mike and Ti's
Yep.
restaurant is, right?
That's where they seafood restaurant right down the corner. Like to give you, they got a rooftop, and I was laughing with AB about this. They got a rooftop, but one direction is a check cashing place, the other direction is a liquor store, and the other direction is a wing spot. So it's in
It,
the hood.
yeah, it's funny how rooftops are supposed to give you an aesthetic.
A view,
So like
yeah. Like this.
a city that's real good with rooftops.
Who was that?
Dallas. Dallas got great
Really?
rooftop scene. Yeah, absolutely.
I need
I'm sure Houston
Nashville
does
coming
too. I've
up
never
with
been to
rooftop.
Houston.
I hear Nashville got a good rooftop shit now. It wasn't like that when I lived, but I'm hearing the rooftop scene in Nashville is hard.
Yeah, good rooftop is always a nice time, man. It got a nice little joint situation. Even just to kind of just take in the city and just go from there.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. So these are who puts on this event? Who is it? Is this
This
an
is a
individual with a group?
it seemed like a nonprofit group that worked in that area because it was at a community center over there in Bankhead. So it seemed like a nonprofit group. I be seeing these groups sometimes like online, like on Instagram and shit like that, but I ain't never met up with them. Is that something that you would do? Would you do that?
Put one on or show up?
Show up.
Yeah, I show
I
up.
know you
I
would.
would I would show up mainly. I'm the type that the first time, maybe second time, I'm just going for curiosity. I don't even know if I'm really trying to contribute unless something is triggered to where I'm like, hold up. But I just really want to observe and see what people are talking about. Like I don't
That's
want
what I
to,
was with.
yeah, I don't want to input or overstep, especially when a community event like that. I'm assuming most of the people there are from the community or live in the community. I want to hear what they got to say, voice their opinions, and just kind of the more information I gather, then I probably feel more comfortable just kind of giving my 2 cents from a observant standpoint or observational standpoint. Because it's funny when you told me you were going, my first thought was I know you ain't participating. Just the Spike Lou, because I'm just imagining them going around like you want to stand up and introduce yourself. You like hell, now I'm
Nah,
out of here.
not at all. Yeah, it was more
um,
like a what you said. That's why our personality is similar, and it was. I wanted to be a fly on the wall because that's when even when my boy was explaining it to me, I was like, damn, that's interesting because one, you hear Bankhead all the time in these raps. You hear all these rap
mhm.
Ti and Killer Mike and all these niggas talking about it. So to be able to participate in, not participate, even just be a fly on the wall in a 2026 conversation about what's going on in the community now, just based off what I'd heard growing up listening to rap about it, that
Mhm.
was going to be the most interesting part to me. And just seeing, like what you said, what people talking about, what the topic of conversations were, and how they went. That's what I was more so interested about. So, yeah, while I wasn't going to put my podcast hat on or nothing like that, I would
Yeah,
be a fly
just
on
kind
the
of
wall, most
observe.
definitely. Yeah.
That's dope, man. I salute you on that. Matter of fact, I hit you up this past weekend, not this past weekend, Friday maybe, or last week, and I asked you to do me a favor, which was to do something for yourself.
Yep.
Whatever it was. Were you able to do that?
No, I wouldn't.
You
I
weren't?
was not. I wasn't able to do that. I had work. I had work Saturday. I had to do for the podcast Sunday. Of course, Sunday, I pod all day from 11 to 7. So Saturday really my window. That's my window to do that. And when did we talk? Friday?
We talked
We
on
talked
Friday,
Friday,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, we talked Friday.
So half my window was gone Friday in the evening, night, and Saturday. That's my window to get my self stuff in. And I still had to go see this bullshit movie that we needed to review that I did
What
not
movie was it?
enjoy.
That when the
Sex.
Oak Street movie was.
No, I seen that last week. That was okay. This one was sex, drugs, and summer camps or some shit like that. Some weird horror shit because they are fascinated with the horror genre on frames per second for some odd reason. And yeah, I didn't. It made me think of it even more as I was in there watching the movie. What you said, like, because that it was work. It was like it was two
Yeah.
hours of work because I did not enjoy it at all. I didn't look forward to telling how much I did not enjoy it the next day. And then the other movie to review was Train or somewhere, Baran or some shit. I didn't
Okay.
enjoy that.
You
Didn't
know,
want to talk about that either.
it's
So
it's
yeah, it
funny
gets
because
interesting in those moments when it feel like work doing this.
I didn't know you were watching the movie that night. I didn't know you were going to the movies, but I specifically had said, go see a movie that ain't you ain't got a review.
Yeah, that
Like
around
it
here.
was one.
Yeah,
It's just funny. I said that in the message because I know how that is when you are always watching things for content or having to give your 2 cents on or your
having to
thoughts.
talk about it. Yeah.
Um, it takes away from the joy. Sometimes it's good just to go in and just be like, all right, man, I just did that for myself.
Yeah,
And just
sometimes
kind
I
of
don't have
rewatch or do
thoughts.
whatever.
I think
What do
that's
you
the
do in those
interesting.
moments? Like, because that's what I fear sometimes in this space. The days when I ain't got nothing to say. Like, I think it's good when we do three, like when we have three people or maybe a guest, because I can just kind of sit back and observe and kind of steer the conversation without having to do too much deep thinking. But when you don't have much to say, but you have to record, what's your approach?
Hmm.
Like, do you manufacture? Do you just keep it a
Mm,
buck? And like, I ain't got nothing to say, bro.
you know what? Thankfully, I record with talented people. You, Mo, people I record with over Daddy and AB. And if I do feel like it, I kind of lean on them. I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm I am talented enough in doing this to, if I feel like it, I can ask questions. I can, lead the conversation in a direction where it ain't gonna require a lot out of me. So
Yeah,
I know how to pick my spots per se. Like if it's
got you.
something that I just don't like, I know how to pick my spots and add my two
It's
cents
like
in or add some comedic relief or whatever it may be. But yeah, like
you.
sometimes it is like that though.
It's like Dirk. Like Dirk gonna get when Dirk get to the top of that free throw line or
Yeah,
one of them corners, ain't nothing you can do. I don't care who the defender is. Like some niggas just get to their spot and it's just over. Like my spot is better
facts.
than anything you can throw. All you can do is hope I miss. So I do appreciate that about you because I think
I try to
having
find shit that, my bad. I
no go
try to
ahead.
find shit that I think most people wouldn't like. When I do have those, like perfect example, we was reviewing X-Men '97, the
Mm-hmm,
animated cartoon.
mm-hmm.
I like the first season, but the second season is a lot more lore, a lot more comic book based, and you got to know prerequisites to understand what's going on. So I really was lost
Yeah,
at that point. But you got to go in there and talk about it every week. So found shit, in within the show that I felt like was interesting I could talk about. Like, I don't know if you watched it, but there was a scene in one of the later episodes with Gambit, and he was talking to Road, and this is a cartoon, and they had a bottle of hot sauce on the table. And I thought that I was like, what the fuck?
yeah,
These niggas got the Louisiana on the table? Like they
right.
thought
In
enough
the
about that to
cartoon,
put that in? Like who made this? Like where did that come from? Why they think to do this? And that's a talk track and a clip to cut from that. Just
yeah.
like I don't got much to add, but that there was like, okay, that's funny. People gonna laugh at it. People laughed at it. We clipped it, cut it up. And in the moment, like I just try to find shit that while I'm still being authentic and offering the 2 cents that I care about, but I don't do it. I never do this in the sense of, well, I'm talking about someone I don't care about. I don't do that. I can't.
Um, I can listen. I've said it on record before. I'll continue to say it. One of the most talented people in this space, like period. Not like anybody who records. Like I'm talking about whether it's from Joe Rogan and his huge platform all the way to the person who has 2 followers recording. I think you're right up there at the very top. One of my favorite things about you is that you're always going to pull up something that either somebody's thinking about or that nobody else is going to ask. When I say somebody thinking about, maybe a listener will be like, "Huh, that's interesting." Just those little small things, because I record with you enough to notice it. Like I've done enough television with you, so we just like literally, and part of it's because of the content. But when we do No More Half Measures about Breaking Bad, we literally just had a conversation about the best flaming hot chips. Or we'll pick up things and just kind of have those combos within the show. And we did it with Good Earners and Sopranos, where we would stop. Like by the time we finished, we was like, "Ain't no other podcast covering this that's gonna give you that breakdown or give you this kind of insight," because it doesn't have anything to do with the show. It's strictly our life experiences, the way we view things, and I think you're the one that kind of leads the way when it comes to that. Like it's very observational with that stuff. Like you know what I mean? Just like, why is that there? When I think most people look at it, they acknowledge that it's there, but they don't really have anything else to say past it. Most people are like, "Oh, hot sauce, that's interesting." And you was like, "Nah, let's talk about this for a second."
Like,
So I can always appreciate that.
Like where did it come
Nah,
from? Yeah, so yeah,
because there's
100%.
always
I
a
appreciate
story
that, bro.
behind it. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, man. We're back here, book 2. We got a Torn Pages episode. This will not be a full episode. We'll be back next week for First Friday with Dave, and just wanted to have a brief conversation because some of the stuff. There's a topic that we would have made a full episode, but we really need a woman on here to have it in an appropriate fashion. So we figured we just kind of do a couple quick hitters and take it from there. I do want to get to some comments. We didn't get a chance to do it last week when Dave was with us, but I want to make sure that we go and look through some of these comments that we had. Give me 1 second. Pull this up. There we go. Um, Please remember to like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. Appreciate y'all for all your continued support. I want to go back to the last First Friday we had with Dave, and Don was on here as well. So we did get a comment from Acash HHNM. I'm pretty sure I didn't read these last week, but great informative conversation great informative conversation as usual. A lot of things that Don said about construction that you can apply to any career or path in life. I do agree with that. We'll definitely have Don back because he just had a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
Golden Child wrote in another great episode full of inspiration. And then Dave also, he put his comment in. What a fun time I had having my friend Don on our podcast. Great talk again from a great inspirational story about growth and success at the highest levels. Thank you again, Don. And thank you, Dave, man, for coming through and always, just the excitement, the insight, the ideas, the way he hits the ground running with things, like just trying to help this platform and grow. Even from his first Fridays, he takes that so seriously. I know when I'm going to be on, so I want this person on, I want that person on. I know we talked about it last week. Somebody he wanted on that passed away. So it's just the way that he kind of constructs things is really inspirational and it's important to us. So I want to make sure I say that on air. We appreciate you, Dave. Looking forward to next week and having you back on. And then we have another. Yeah, go ahead.
I too wanted to give Dave his flowers and give him the enthusiasm and working with someone like you said who has an experience in building things, businesses especially,
Mm-hmm.
and then them being on the inside with us now and sending text, posing questions, making suggestions is like a breath of fresh air because you and I can get in this. We do this, record all the time. It's like Groundhog Day sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
but it's always refreshing to me, Dave of being of a place where he's built businesses in different industries, looking at this like, okay, how do you take this, what we're doing, to this next thing?
Yeah.
Like applying what he's learned in those different places and making the attempt to apply them here. It's motivating, it's refreshing, and it's an experience that I haven't had. I really haven't had in this space, so I'm appreciating it a lot and learning how to make it beneficial for both him, you, and myself, but I definitely enjoy it. That energy that he brings to it, and I think it's going to be very lucrative for us.
Absolutely, I do appreciate and agree with you there. It's funny, man. Dave said this, man, I forget the exact quote, but when God wants to bless you or change your life, He doesn't send you things; He sends you people.
Send you
And I
people.
look up and I think about all the people that are around, and it's like not a coincidence, and they are ready to help us and take us to the next level. So it's always on us to make sure we take advantage of those relationships. When I say take advantage, I mean literally pour into them, not just a one way avenue, but the same way we're interested and curious about people, I know they're curious about us, and all those things as well. So that's always a good. One of my favorite feelings is when people come up and ask me like, "Hey, can you help me with starting a podcast, or can you give me some insight on what I should be looking at?" Because it means that they take me serious enough in this space to where, hey, if I want to be serious about it, I know the person to talk to. And they also see it as, hey, you're accessible enough, and I feel like you're down to earth enough and low key enough to where you would actually be willing to help. It's not like an outreach or something where, sometimes, and I'll admit that I get this, and these are people I even know from time to time where I know they're busy. I know they got X, Y, and Z going on. So I'll be like, nah, I ain't trying to bother them. I ain't trying to add on to the plate. But they look at it the same way, like, bro, you crazy, bro. Hit me up anytime or whatever the case may be. So shout out to Dave for that. Um, Last week's episode, speaking of Dave, when he was on, we got a couple comments there. Once again, Golden Child, we appreciate you. Great combo, guys. I agree. We all need time to reset, relax, and enjoy you. The same way you make time for everything else, make time for yourself and the things you enjoy doing. Sunday is usually my self care day. After church, if I want to go home and do nothing, that's exactly what I do. Life is short, so we have to enjoy it while we can. I am a firm believer in leaving yesterday in the past and and letting tomorrow worry about itself. I appreciate that advice. That is great advice. Stay in
Yes.
the present. Take time for yourself. I'm with it. Thank you, Golden Child. And Dejour. Shout out to Dejour, man, reaching out. Great episode, guys. Question of the week with football season coming up. What's a normal Sunday look like for you all for two fans who really care about their teams? As a Commanders fan, it revolves around them and it can sometimes determine how I feel for the week, especially during Jaden's rookie season. Do you remember your favorite moments as a fan? I know Spike doesn't celebrate, but do you also remember the time you were the most mad after a game? Absolutely. I don't know if you want to start, Spike Luke, because I got
Yeah.
answers to all of that.
I got answers to all of them too. Normal Sundays, since I record on Sundays, it requires me taking my iPad to the studio, watching Red Zone while we're recording. Got to, because I got to get, I just got to see it. I need my information. Um, and then I usually am done by the time that the Sunday night game come on. So I watch the full Sunday night game. If I do have a Sunday where I'm not recording, straight Red Zone from 1 to the Sunday night game and watching those. So that's my Sundays are encompassed with football. Like as soon as kickoff comes, find you something to eat, find whatever you're gonna get to going before then, and boom, lock in on Red Zone until 7 o'clock. Um, what was it? Most angriest you've been, and what was
Yeah,
the other
just
one?
let me go back and read it officially. So the other part you mentioned was, do you remember your favorite moments as a fan, and do you remember the times you were the most mad after a game?
Yeah, 52-17. That first Super Bowl in Pasadena when my boys put a whooping on Buffalo. I just couldn't believe that we was that good, just whooping ass in the Super Bowl like that, putting up 52 points. And most mad is two. One is the
And
Tony
you might have just
Romo.
posted it.
Definitely just posted it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's one is a Tony Romo fumble when he
Seahawks.
shouldn't have been fucking holding the kick anyway against the Seahawks because he came in as the backup, did a good job, and they didn't swap him out from kick holding responsibilities. This is when, and it's probably why it changed too. This is when the backup quarterback used to hold the kick
Mm-hmm.
for the kickers. Now it's the
Yep.
punter. The backup quarterback don't even do it no more.
Yep.
But Tony Romo was a backup, came in, had a good game. He was still doing kick duties, fumbled the snap, rolled out, incomplete pass. Seahawks went to the Super Bowl. We should have went that year. Next one is the catch by Dez. I don't call it the non-catch. I call it the catch because it was a fucking catch. I still remember. I remember that vividly, watching that, reacting to it, just being livid, and still being mad about it to this day. But I think the Packers went on to the Super Bowl that year, if I'm not mistaken. I think they went to the Super Bowl. So in both of them instances,
Um, I don't think so. I don't think because the
you don't think
last
they
time
ain't
they
get to the Super Bowl
went,
that year?
uh,
I think
nah,
they
because I
won,
don't,
lost to the Steelers that year, if I ain't mistaken.
nah, because they beat the Steelers in the Super Bowl in 2010 or whatever that case was. Technically, the 2011. But that was 2015
Well,
when the catch happened. That was who played in 2015? That was New England, if
yeah,
I'm not
who else?
mistaken. Seattle. That's the New England.
Okay.
I think that's
All right.
that game, if I'm not mistaken. I might have the years wrong, but that's
Yeah.
the when he passed instead of give it to Marshawn.
But definitely the Dez catch too. And I don't carry it with me all week. Like it stop on Sunday. Hour after the game, maybe.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah,
The man who doesn't cheer.
yeah, maybe an hour after the game, maybe you still thinking about it and mad. It had to be it got to be real egregious for me to carry it into Monday morning because though I love my team in sports, it's just not that much where I'm gonna have an unproductive day or I don't want nobody to talk to me. Like it ain't that serious for me when you're talking about real life, because I still understand that that's sports, though it is real life to me because it's my team, but I still don't carry it like all week with a chip on my shoulder, per se.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you, Day Drew. That was a great question. I'm gonna answer it on mine. So, typical Sunday, what does it look like? So, I have season tickets to the Bengals, but I live in Cleveland, so I don't go to every game. I try to circle the games that I look interesting. Obviously, being in Cleveland, that's 1 week where I can stay up here. I can watch the Bengals when they're up here. Pittsburgh is 2 hours away, so if I want to go to Pittsburgh and watch the Bengals when they travel on the road, I can do that as well. So I try to pick a couple road games, but 4 to 5, especially in the warm months like September, October. Once it starts getting super cold, I don't make the drive. Or like it has been the past couple years, if the season starts getting away, then it's like, bro, I'm not investing my time, money, gas, any of that into driving back home. But let's talk about the home opener. That's what a typical Sunday looks like. So I'm tailgating. Shout out to Phil because Phil gonna listen. Be like, man, you don't be tailgating. You be getting to the game right at kickoff. But I'll try to get downtown about 10 o'clock. I think a good 2 hour at this point in my life, a good 2 hour tailgate is all I need. If I can do something from 10 to 12, the game is at 1 p.m. Eastern. So I'll do something from 10 to 12. I can start heading my way to the stadium by at noon, get in, be in my seat, and then you in there, you ready. And it's cool, man, having season tickets because you got the same people kind of around you. This would be my 5th year having them, and everybody still has their tickets that sits next to me. So it's almost like when Fat Joe was talking about his NBA in season friends, like Timothy Chalamet, Ben Stiller. Like I don't see them or hear them until the Knicks start playing again. That's the same thing. Like you just people you know. You don't even really know their names, but you kind of know little small stuff. So like the people to the right of me, they recently had a baby. So you just remember that stuff for the next season. Like, did y'all have your kid? What you have, a boy, girl? You just start picking up where you left off. So that part of it's cool. But tailgating, seeing a bunch of people just celebrating, going to the game, having a good time. And usually by that point, it's just watching whatever game's after. So a good 1 p.m. game, I'll go home, watch the afternoon games, and then Sunday night football is always a big deal too, just to be able to enjoy that. The rest of the games, like Thursday night football and all that, that's cool. But if the Bengals ain't playing, it ain't no need to do things. Like unless it's the opening week. Opening week because it's been going for so long. That's when I'm like, nah, man, I'm trying to lock in. But I don't need to see a random, Bills Titans game on a Thursday in November. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But Sundays, that's a full lineup. My day is dedicated to football. That's just what I enjoy. My best moment or my favorite moment as a fan was definitely the playoff game when the Bengals beat the Raiders. It was the first playoff game since like 1991 or whatever the case was. And just that feeling in the stadium. I'll never forget when Jermaine Pratt intercepted that ball and just the stadium going crazy. I've seen people just losing it because it gets to a point, man, when Louis, so you had Super Bowls. You know what it's like. to be good at what you do as far as your sports team. Um, College basketball, I'm a Carolina Tar Heels fan, so I've seen my favorite college team win 3 championships in my lifetime. They won more in my lifetime, but the actual 3 that I paid attention to. But the Bengals, man, it's like fuck. They ain't never gonna get it together. And you really be thinking, like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I putting myself through this? So to live pretty much my entire life without seeing them win a playoff game, and then they finally get it done, and it's at the crib, that was an incredible day. I was at that game with Phil, my dude Shelt. That was a real fun day just because it was like, damn, we got that. And that's the same year we went to the Super Bowl. So that run was just fun in general. Logan Wilson did not hold. We should be Super Bowl champs, but that's another conversation for another day. And the most mad is easy. I will never forget this shit for as long as I live. It's the 2015 season, but the game took place January 9th, 2016. Steelers came to Cincinnati for a wild card game. Andy Dalton had hurt his thumb, so AJ McCarron was starting. The Bengals were looking good. Like, legit, if Andy would have, like, I know this sounds like hyperbole, but if Andy was healthy, it's one of those, like, we had a chance to make a run. I feel like we had a chance to make a run. This is the Marvin Lewis era, and the Steelers come in. It's a nice back and forth. That's the famous, I think that's the Vontaze Burfict hit on Antonio Brown that changed his life. We get the fumble recovery. I remember the defense running down, the stadium going crazy. I'm not at the game. I'm at a work holiday party, actually. At a work holiday party.
No way in the world.
Bengals gear on. Like, the plan was like, it's a holiday party, but this playoff game, we're going to kick it. I remember that. It looked like we sealed the game up. I forget how much time was on the clock. Trying to run the clock out. Jeremy Hill gets the ball, fumbles it. Steelers get it, come down, kick a field goal, ball game. I've never been more mad. I remember everybody having a good time celebrating once Vontaze Burfict, got his turnover. We thought it's over. And then I just remember the party was over. Everybody left. It was over. Nobody wanted to talk. Nobody wanted to kick it. Those are the type of things that fuck with you. Now, at this point in my life, a couple days maybe. And it's not like it's lingering or having a cloud over my day. It's more so like, damn, those random moments where you be thinking, like, I can't believe we didn't win that shit. But it ain't nothing where it's an impact to my day. Like, I'm not about to cancel recordings and be like, oh, man, I can't do it. I'm fucked up about this game. It is what it is. The only time that an outside event made me, like, call off work or do something was when Nip died, which is crazy. Not crazy, Dang. But I never did that. Like, I just remember waking up that morning and I was like, nah, I couldn't do it. I was fucked up about that. Not like crying, but I remember I was in Louisville. My sister was in town. She was at some conference, and I surprised her. My mom and aunt was already down there, and I told her I was busy. I couldn't do it, but I already had the plan to come in on one of the days. So I remember we was going down there. As a matter of fact, we were in our hotel lobby watching that Michigan State Duke game. It was the Final Four, Elite Eight, something like that. When Zion was there. And I remember once that game finished, going back up to a room because I was about to tell my mom and aunt, like, all right, then I'm about to hit the road, get back to the city. And I got the alert on my phone that Nip had been shot, but that's all it said. And I'm like, damn, Nip got shot? And I remember driving back, but I couldn't even focus. I kept looking at my phone for an update. I'm pulling up Twitter, all types of shit. And that's when I got the news that he actually died. And I'm like, what? And that was just a fucked up time. I remember getting home. I didn't want to do shit. I was just sick about it because Nip, like, there's certain people like, damn, not Nip. Like, that's like not Nip. And then I remember waking up that next day and I was like, I ain't doing it. I don't feel like talking to nobody. I don't feel like doing shit. And I don't do that. That's why it stands out to me because I'm not one of those people that's just, especially for somebody I don't know. But that was just one of those things. It felt bigger than just an artist. Like, it felt like we saw the funeral and everything, Barack wrote the letters, Stevie performed. Yeah, like it was just somebody like your partner. Like, so it was like one of the good ones, as they say. So that was crazy. But anyway, that's my football Sunday, man. We appreciate the question, Dejour.
Yeah, appreciate the question, Dejour. I was fucked up about Nip too. I remember that. I remember that was one of my favorite unfortunate recordings. Because I think we recorded the day after.
I know y'all reference that from time to time. I'm never going back to listen, so I need to go ahead and go back.
That was maybe the only time I've almost gotten emotional, like recording, just talking about it. Like, that maybe the only time. Like, that was as impactful. It's crazy that because I mean I remember when Pac died. Other rappers have died, it ain't never really affected me like Nip. It's like
Right.
what you
Same.
said. You felt like it was your homeboy. You felt like
Yeah.
that shouldn't have happened. Like that
Hmm.
didn't seem right. So yeah, I remember listening to Blue Laces too, like 50, 60 times, like no exaggeration, just back
Yeah.
to back to back to back. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
And he was just, he had been around for a while. And I took pride in Nip was one of those people that I got people hit to. You know what I mean? People
Facts.
like when Victory Lap came out, like that was a lot of hard work. There was a lot of bullets had no names on it. Mailbox Money, Crenshaw, Slauson Boy. There's a ton of stuff already out that the marathon, obviously, that people weren't necessarily familiar with, but I feel like it took off. So it was almost like the fruits of your labor finally here, and then
Yeah.
you don't even you got nominated for a Grammy. You ain't even got a chance to, you know. I remember watching Lenny S's like IG page because they were shooting that higher video for that DJ Khaled.
Hmm.
Like, and then like a couple days later, that's when it happened. It was like, damn. And there's other people who are just like, you feel it a little bit differently when you get the news. Like I remember Takeoff being like, damn, Takeoff died. And then other people, not to discredit or to belittle, but other people are just like, damn, that's messed up that you go about your day. But some artists is just it just impacts you a different way.
That's the only one for me. That's
Yeah,
the
I
only
mean,
one. Yeah. But
well,
yeah,
I think
yeah, it does. Different people does impact different people, especially with the passing that we had this week of what Dolly Parton.
Dolly Parton, Michael
Yeah,
Wright,
somebody else.
who
Yeah, Michael
obviously,
Wright.
yeah, Michael Wright from the Five Heartbeats, and then
Somebody else died too.
Tim
Tim, what's
Curry,
the white dude name?
Tim
Yeah,
Curry.
the white dude.
Yeah, so it's like
But yeah, so
three,
people
three, three real
respond.
beloved people too. It's rare when you get the trifecta where everybody's sick about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so
Absolutely.
yeah,
Rest in
man,
peace to
that
them.
was rest in peace to them, man. To their family, the people that knew them, man. Prayers, condolences, the whole nine. Um, I want to jump into before we get out of here. I want to kind of
That was the
jump
last comment.
into yeah, that was the last comment. Well, I got another question. I got a question I wanted to ask you because I was just curious. But before I even get there, one thing that I've been working on, and I'm happy because it's been working out for me. My homegirl told me this, and it really stuck with me. And she was like, in relationships, whether it's romantic relationship, whether it's a friendship, not really business because there's more repercussions in business, I think. But she said most relationships, one of the rules that she learned was whoever cares the most wins.
Wins?
Like wins. So I find myself in a situation where let's say there's a disagreement or two different points of thought. Um, so I feel like all right, this kind of happened today. Mo was in our group chat. He was asking about White Hood movies. And I was just like, I don't think there is a White Hood movie. I don't think that exists. Like that's not how I perceive. And you commented what your definition of a White Hood, oh, excuse me, what a hood movie is, and I echoed it. And I specifically said a sentence, like I said my piece, but I'm like, that's what I think. Like I made sure I intentionally said that's what I think because I know it's not necessarily what I'm saying ain't law. This is just my opinion, my thought. And Mo, he disagreed, and I wasn't gonna go back and forth with it. I was just like, all right, man, you got it, because I didn't care enough to do that. And not saying I didn't care about what he was talking about, but I know Mo well enough to know that when he's convicted about something, he gonna ride on that point. And I've been picking and choosing in life. Like when I notice somebody really cares about something, I'm just much quicker to be like, you got it, you're right. All right, bet. Let's move on. And I just think that's something that's been helping me out too, because
Is that
not to
therapy or is that age?
that's therapy. That's therapy. I think so. I'm sure it's age too, but therapy, like I said, the therapy part is just being aware. A lot of stuff is one I'm aware of it now. Now that I'm aware of how I think and the stuff that's going around, I'm like, okay, then bet. I see that. Now I'm gonna react the way that I should. Because in general, I don't. Like I like good banter or good back and forth. But for the most part, I look at things like, man, what is this consequential to anything? Like, is this gonna impact my day in any way? Is this gonna like what are we talking about? And how much energy am I gonna give it if it don't really matter in that sense?
Is that is that authentic?
Yeah. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Because go ahead.
I have a similar sentiment. Like I've been that way for a minute, so
Yeah,
I
yeah,
understand what you're saying. But yes, with Mo, in certain instances, it comes up. I do it a lot with like when I record with probably Mike from Dead End. And it's like, well, if that's what you think, dog, you got it. Not that like it could be a very thought out, well articulated thought, but I can't, I'm not gonna argue against it. I do it a lot with, and people familiar to listen to it, I do it a lot with Dan too. Dan and I have gotten like it in the sense of like, ah, you got it, bro. I know what you think. I
yeah.
ain't finna. I'm not going if you, because Dan is where I even came up with the question when I asked y'all about the Mob Deep beat. He was like, it's
Okay.
top 10 beat of all time, and just that. I was like, nah, it ain't, bro. It ain't. And I just left it at that. But he was going into why it was this, that, and the third. I was like, bro, okay. For me, it's not. And that's all I got for you. I'm sorry.
Now,
That's it.
now
That's all I
that
got.
that that right there, that came with age for me. Like when you realize, like, I'm not gonna change your mind. The same way, there's certain things you're not gonna change my mind on. Sometimes you can have a conversation, you realize like there's nothing that I'm gonna say to change your mind. So what's the point? That's why I don't sometimes when it comes to podcasting, because I don't have hot takes. I'm not gonna sit there. I think there are people who are good at taking a take and just kind of having that debate style. And I think we just kind of got worn out. When First Take first came out and all that, it was original. Like those debate styles, that's why people were so tuned in. Now everything feels like it's debate, and you gotta have be a contrarian. And it does pose a question, like you just mentioned, is this even authentic? Like, do you even feel this way? Are you doing this for ratings and clicks and whatever? I'd much rather have an authentic conversation. And then once I realize, oh, you really believe this, you really feel that way, okay, bet you got it, man. Because I ain't nothing I'm about to say that's gonna change your mind. Like I don't, and it don't matter if you know what where I'm coming from.
I don't
Whatever.
care. I don't
Yeah,
really
it is
care if
what
you
it
know.
is.
Like, I think that's an interesting conundrum to have as a podcaster, though, because I've had this thought in like just individually thinking about stuff, walks or ride homes or whatever it may be. I ain't trying to convince nobody of shit.
Yeah.
And that's really detrimental to, I mean, in a traditional sense of what I do here, when you talking about podcasting and even being in sales, like it's about convincing people. Even here, people
Yeah.
think that when they thinking about podcasts, they think that you're trying to convince someone of the take that you have. And to your point earlier, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I think it speaks to my talent. Like I ain't here trying to convince people. Shit, I ain't
Yeah.
here to sell you on nothing. I'm here to tell you what I thought. I don't give a
Hmm.
fuck if you agree or disagree with it. We can have a conversation with about it if it's worth it. However, nah, I ain't trying to convince you, bro. I ain't trying to get you out here to do this thing or think this way. I don't give a fuck what you think. Or how you think of it don't matter to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you there.
That's why you would be a good streamer.
I would. I think I would do
Yeah, you
well
would
in
be
the
a good
streaming.
streamer. Because it adds layers to what you say. You know what I mean? To the point we just made, people will realize, like, oh, I think they believe it already because you've had so much work and, you know, so many hours in this game, so much content. But they will really be able to see, oh, nah, Spike really like that. Like, that's really who he is. Like, that's one of my favorite things. When you know somebody who's a personality, but you happen to know them in real life, and you be like, oh, nah, they ain't doing that for this. That's who they are. Like, that's exactly who they are. That's how they do. That's how they operate. You know, all that stuff. It's very fascinating. Um, I was gonna ask you the question of is there anything that you what's something that you thought you would have had by now or done by now that you haven't? Do you have anything like that? It doesn't have to
That's
be anything super deep. It's just more so like when I was younger, I thought by this age, my life might look like this, and it could be as simple as I thought I have a house by now, or I thought I'd be married, or I thought I have a kid, or whatever the case may be. But I'm just curious: is there anything that you looked at and was like, "Huh, okay, it's different than what I thought it would be"?
yes. The first thing that I think of when you say that, and I've always said this to myself when I was younger, and now I'm at this age. It kind of sounds ridiculous. However, it could have been done. I always told myself by the time I was 40, I was gonna be through working. I ain't
Mm,
going to no job. I'm not going to clock in for nobody. I I ain't doing none of the stuff that you have to do for a 9 to 5. Because I've been working since I was 14. So I told
Mm-hmm.
myself by the time you reach 40, bro, you ought to be even figured this shit out. You even had a long enough stretch or run where you can put something together where you ain't got to go work for nobody for no 9 to 5
How old were
to
you
make a
when you
living.
started having this thought?
Bro, I started having that thought at 17, 16 years old.
Okay, gotcha. So you
Like
were young.
very, very early on. It was like I know because again, I've been working since I was 14, was 13 actually, illegally. But you working that long, by the time I'm 18, 19, 20, I'm working a full-time job 6, 7 years now. And I'm seeing my mom work a full-time job. And I'm like, bro, this ain't nothing. Let's figure something out to where you ain't gonna have to do this your whole life. And yeah, that's the big thing. Well, that stick out to me is like I didn't plan on still having to get up and go to work at the age that I am now, at my big age, and that's probably one of the
Interesting.
biggest. I wouldn't say cloud, but that stays at the forefront of my mind. How to figure that out, how to just be my own entity in the sense of I admire Dave so much in the sense where he talk about, bro, I don't like he said this thing is funny and people here they don't understand it, but I immediately got it. He was like, I don't even understand when y'all people that work talk about PTO. He's like, bro, I don't even have a concept or an idea of
Yeah,
what PTO is. That don't even make sense to me. He's like, so
yeah.
you telling me that you got to bank up time to tell somebody else that you want an off day? You like that's a real thing. Like even listening to him and having that conversation with him about that, it was just so
Mm-hmm.
enlightening because you're thinking about it. You're talking about somebody that's never had a job and not in a bad sense. Like you can say that about some of your friends. I got another friend that ain't never had a job, but I ain't saying it in the same way that I'm saying it when I say
Yeah,
David ain't never
I
had
know
a
what you mean.
job. Like it's two
I know
different
what you
things.
mean. Yeah.
But when you talk to Dave and he's like, bro, I ain't never like I work for my dad, I work for my granddad, I work for myself. Like so y'all going into an office, having the code switch, and ask for days off and hey, how was your weekend? Like, nigga, what the fuck? I don't understand none of that. That don't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And just it's refreshing to know that there's brothers out there like that. And I look at that in admiration and strive to be to that point as to where like, what do you mean like you don't like Mondays? My Monday's like my Sunday, nigga. It don't fucking matter what day of the week it is. Like it don't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Nah, that's a great point. And I need to ask Dave this because I'm very curious because he kind of that's his life. You know what I mean? Like that norm. Like when you think about your childhood and your youth and what's normal to you. I think we might even had this conversation before. Like sometimes, you might not even know what you have or don't have until you go outside and you see someone else's, right? Because whatever it is just normal. Like so, if you grew up without, you don't know that you're without until you see other people with. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And I wonder how much of that is the blessing of having entrepreneur, grandparents, dad, to where my normal was working for ourselves. Like my normal was never getting a job, going to the mall. Like we came from the era where you going to the mall, you actually physically going to these places, asking if they're hiring, getting a paper application, filling it out on the spot, or collecting them all, taking them home, then returning the next day, calling back to follow up. Hey, I submitted an application, just wanted to see if y'all got it. All that shit. Like you said, that's foreign today. Like what? Like why would I ever do that? Like you know what I mean? Like that doesn't make any sense. And I do value that, and I want to know because I read something recently, like maybe 2 days ago. Someone said entrepreneurship is spending the money to see which one of your ideas were done.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's pretty much that, and I don't think a lot of people they need that safety net or that blanket of I got something consistent. I don't know if Dave said this or who said this. They're paying you not to follow your dreams.
Yeah, they paying you to follow theirs. Dave said that when he was talking on here.
Yeah, I'm about to say, yeah,
They
I'm
literally paying you to help them achieve their dreams. Um, damn, you just said something that I want to comment on, but I can't. I lost it. What you said safety net and
oh yeah, the safety net is just as far as people will they don't want to go out to start their own business or take that risk because they want the consistency of knowing, all right, I got X amount of money coming in this month. Where entrepreneurship can be one or the other.
The one of the harsh realities about entrepreneurship that most people, I don't hear them talking about when they talk about being an entrepreneur, and they tell you about these different streams of income, and they tell you about all this shit that you could do to make extra money. Most of that shit don't work. Most of that shit is not going to work, bro. It worked for some people, but most of the time that shit doesn't work. Now, if you work hard at it, yeah, you can figure out, and we talk about this all the time, Rich, there's a pivot there somewhere. But the pivot comes from you trying the thing and understanding that that thing ain't gonna work, or you're failing at that thing, and you continuously being an entrepreneur figure out the pivot to where this don't work, but maybe this got an idea. And you know what? That may not work either. But that's what being an entrepreneur is, that most people, where the conversations aren't had. Being an entrepreneur is having processes in place for when shit do work. Most of it ain't gonna work. But if I got a process in place, and when that do starts to work, you get some sort of repetition towards what you're doing, and that repetition makes that thing a business. Just like with me and you planning what we're planning, the ultimate goal ain't to have a thing at the end. The ultimate goal, in my opinion, is to have a process in place that's repeatable, that revenue comes from. And then once you do that, it's more so about, okay, how can I maximize this revenue, or how can I figure out another stream of revenue? It ain't necessarily coming up with the next best, brightest idea. And I think that's where entrepreneurs stick themselves in the foot a lot of the times. They think they got to have the best idea, the best plan in place, when it's not necessarily the idea of the plan, is the process. The first thing about business, in my opinion, that I've learned from the people that I've been around, whether it be a Dave or people that I've met here that are in media spaces, they run studios for podcasts, and they have all these things. It wasn't until they had the process in place to when the money started. Like if it was $5 for a subscription from fucking Patreon, or YouTube subscriptions, or whatever it may be, it's the actual process of setting those things up, setting your YouTube up for monetization, setting your fucking Patreon up to where you can get subscribers, versus trying to come up with the best idea of, this is what I need to put on that platform. This is what I need to do to get this restaurant, or to do this thing, versus, you know what? I walk dogs or groom dogs or whatever it may be. The first thing I need to do is set up a process so a motherfucker can pay me when I groom them. Whether that be a Cash App, a storefront website, a app, or whatever the fuck it is that you got, set up a process to where people get comfortable doing things for you, and you get comfortable completing that process and getting money from it. That's how you get your entrepreneurship on. Because once you see that process working, and you see it may not be life-changing revenue. I think Ian said this, and we talked about this in the podcast clip that I sent you, bro. Like, what we do, we ain't got to do this and flip it into $50,000 a month. But just think about what it would look like if this gave you what you do already right now, an extra $2,500 a month. That's damn near life. Like if you had an extra $2,500 a month in your pocket for doing this, that's life changing shit. And people try to act like, oh, that ain't life changing money, nigga. Extra $2,500 in your pocket every month, that is life changing money, because you're gonna be able to do shit that you wasn't doing. That concert that you was on the fence about, the vacation that you might have took, might not have took, the car that you could afford but don't really want to spend all your money on it. All of those things, you can do that. And then you
anybody who says that, my response to them would be, okay, well, look at it the other way. Let's say at the beginning of every year, somebody just, on top of what you make, you know, with whatever else you got going on, somebody just says, hey, here's $30,000. Like, just think about what that does for the rest of your year. Like, you pretty much get, if you know how to manage even a little bit, that's a stress-free year. You ain't got to worry about this. Man, this is $30,000. I can just put up or do to this. You might be able to pay off, you know, a year's worth of mortgage, rent, whatever. Maybe all of your, like a lot of your stuff. And maybe you just use all your extra money just for play around, saving, investing, whatever the case may be. Maybe you take that 30 and just invest it all. Who knows? Take half of it and invest it, a quarter of it. Either way, like you said, it's going to change the trajectory of your financial statement that year. So if you break it down to 2,500 a month, that's the same thing. That's a big thing. I don't know. I don't listen. I don't care who you are.
I don't know nobody
2,500
couldn't
is
use an extra
2,500.
30,000. Yeah,
Even
exactly.
if
Or
you take that
25.
2,500 and just say, you know what, there's some people in my family that could use this. Maybe I start. I remember Cedric the Entertainer was talking about he keeps a fund for his family. So if somebody like struggling, I can't pay the rent this month or whatever the case is, he maxes it out. So you can only get a certain amount per time. And I think if you want something different, you got to have a business plan in place. It's not like I'm just giving you money, but it's literally for like emergencies. Like, so the family has access to it. Come holler at me. Let me know what's going on. I got you. And, you know, obviously you can snuff out the bullshit or whatnot. But yeah,
That's dope.
all that makes a difference. All that makes a difference, man. Um, for me, just to answer that question, I just thought that I really was somebody who thought that I'd have, you know, the family or wife. And I'm trying to really think of when I realized, like, oh, man, I ain't got no interest in this. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Wait,
where,
so hold on. Just to make sure I understand. When you were younger, you did think and
yeah,
thought that you wanted the wife, the kids, the picket fence, the
absolutely.
dog, the
So,
house.
this,
Okay.
yeah,
Got it.
same way you talked about you were 16, 17, like, I'm not working at 40. Like, I was the one that was thinking, like, I'll probably be married by 25. Like, you know what I
Mm,
mean? Married by 25,
interesting.
kids, that whole nine. And I'm trying to think of when I realized that that's not going to happen. I can't remember. That's a whole nother conversation I probably have to pinpoint and think about. Um, but even having a house, like even stuff like that, but which is it's funny because none of these things are something that I'm like, oh damn, I missed out on that, or I feel bad about that. But I think you can't predict a lot of the things, right? Like housing market, how expensive everything is, all of that. Even surviving off one income. Like we live in a two income economy. Like for real. Like you need two people in a household, combined incomes. Like so if you're surviving off one, that's a flex. That's a flex for real. Like keep going, keep grinding. But I don't know. I just realized at some point I like being able to I'm the CEO of my life. I like being able to do what I want to do. Don't got to explain myself to anybody. If I want to pick up and do X, Y, and Z, there's no obligations. Like everything in my life right now, I'm doing because I want to do. Like, there's not one thing that I'm obligated to do or I feel pressure to say yes to. And I enjoy that part of it, but I did think it would look different, which isn't a bad thing. It's just like, oh shit, that's something I would have pictured. I would have thought. And I am one of those people that, damn man, it'd be nice to have a crib where I could host, man, just on a random. We just talked about football days. Jor asked the question. Sundays I got the setup. I got the 3 TVs. Everybody come through, bring a bottle, bring whatever you know what I'm saying, whatever. We're gonna kick it, watch some games, all of that, order some food, fire up the grill, whatever the case may be. That's the only thing that I really miss from not having a space like that, like a home backyard type of situation. Outside of that, like there's a lot of homeowners that I talk to, and Phil's gonna be listening to this because Phil's always like, nigga, buy a house, buy a house, buy a house. Like, you know what I mean? Just for the investment and the equity
Equity,
and all
right?
that stuff. Uh, but honestly, there's a lot of people that I know with houses that's just like, man, my homegirl bought a house and she sold it and she was like, I'll never buy a house again. Like
I talked to.
maybe if I get married and a situation comes from that, but I'm cool with a condo, apartment, whatever the case is. Like I don't need an actual home because of like everything that goes with it. It's almost like a financial cloud over your head. At any given moment, something could happen
It's
and
always
you're
something.
responsible for it. Yeah.
It's
That's what people
always
say. They say
something.
the
Like
same
I
thing. It's
remember
always
owning.
something.
I remember owning a home in that process. It was always something. Always something. A fucking fence fell, fucking raccoons in the attic, or fucking just shit that you like, bro. Why is this $3,000? Like, why? What the
Hmm.
fuck? And it ain't no alternatives. Ain't no really doing it yourself and no shit like that. So yeah, like I could understand for the equity part of it, what the homeowners are like, no, buy a house because that it's unmatched what it can do for you financially. However, also having experienced it, if you don't gotta have one, I can understand somebody being like, man, I ain't trying to do all of that.
Hmm.
Cause the equity is good, but nigga, I ain't trying like I gotta have a plumber out here this month. I gotta have a fucking electrician the next month. I gotta have a fucking carpenter over here this month, and it ain't never cheap. It ain't never like $200-300. It's like thousands of dollars. This shit fucking insane. So yeah, I've been through the headaches of owning a home. I would always just I don't plan on having a family for kids and shit like that no time soon. I would
Yeah,
always do condo if I'm looking to own though. I'm
yeah,
never doing a house again.
that's
I'm in the same boat as your home bro. I ain't never doing a house again. Cause I can't
interesting.
I ain't fucking Bob the Builder. I ain't getting out there to fix that shit. So
He
like
said straight up, I ain't doing that.
I ain't
You ain't
fixing
even
that
taking
shit.
pictures.
Bro,
So
like
you was like,
nigga,
fuck, I
how
definitely
much
ain't.
bro, how much do this cost? Like, are you a fixer? Would you do that? I feel like you would try to fix it.
I
You
would.
gonna be
I try to, but there is a point where somebody said this, or I know somebody or follow somebody. One of my boys from college. He actually went to UC. Uh, he started breaking things down. Like, is this worth my time? Like literally, if I go outside and if I go out somewhere to try to make some money, is that more beneficial than me trying to learn how to do this? You know what I mean? Like it
Mhm.
might be cheaper for me to literally pay someone than trying to build it myself or try to, fix it myself or doing all that stuff. So that was a good way to look at it too. But it depends on what it is. There are things that's how I learned how to change brakes and all that because it was just like let me just see if I
I
can.
remember you told me that.
Yeah, and you know how to do it. But like you
You
said,
gotta change
man,
your oil and all that.
yeah,
And you
my
do it
boy
every
Matt.
time.
Nah, I don't even do it. That's the thing. I know how to do it, but it's easier just to go to Valvoline, bro. Pull in, y'all do y'all
Pay
thing, man.
them
I'm pay your bread and go.
$50.
Yeah, like you know what I'm saying, like because it's a process. I got stuff, and I'm at the point of my life too where, bro, I got recordings, I got work, I got X, Y, and Z. Like I'm not like it's cool, but it's the setup and the process of actually like I said, if I had a garage, it'd be different.
Like, how
I
much
don't have a
time do it
garage,
take you to change your oil?
so I got to go out and buy the oil, and then you need some ramps, right? You need some ramps or a jack or something like that.
Set it up, yeah.
Once you get that, like if you include the travel time that it takes to get that and the money it takes for the equipment, um, 15 minutes, really not much. But then you gotta have
Nah,
tools,
I'm talking
right?
about you talking about the actual process. I'm talking about the whole thing. Like, is it like if you like if this
If I
upcoming
woke
week,
up,
if you was like Saturday, I gotta change my
yeah,
oil, would that be your whole day?
no, it wouldn't be my whole day. But I'm wake. If let's say I wake up at 8, I gotta drive to AutoZone. I gotta buy the oil. I gotta make sure that I got they call it the wrench for the
Yeah,
I can't even think of what
the
it is.
filter.
Yes, thank you. The oil filter. Find a place to put my car, or maybe call one of my boys like, yo, I'm about to come through. Let me use your driveway. So now that's drive time as well. 20-25 minutes across town. Hauling the stuff in the trunk, like the ramps and all that stuff for the back seat. Putting it up there. By the time, if I say 8 o'clock, that might be till 11. Like honestly, by the time I do everything, it don't
That
take
ain't
that
bad as I
long to
thought it
do
would.
it. Nah, no, no, no. That's not now breaks because there's so many unpredictables and variables too. And that's what like a lot of that kind of work. You got to have the right tools. If you don't have the right tools, it's gonna be a long ass day. You know what I
That
mean?
makes sense.
So
Yeah.
that's just part of it. But yeah, I don't. Homeowners. One day I would like to do that because I think that is dope. That's just something that's I personally would like to accomplish, but it's not something where I'm just my bad. My
Mhm. I got a question too. I know it's a short episode. Before we get out of here, we're right at an hour. It ain't got to be long winded, but if you got a lot for it, fine. I just had this conversation with Dro before on the way here. What do you do when you're feeling unmotivated? Or do you deal with feeling unmotivated? Have you felt it lately? Is it something that you dealt with previously? And if so, when it happens, what's your recourse?
when yes, I've definitely felt unmotivated lately. Um, not like past couple months lately, not like recent, but moments where I'm just like, man, I don't feel like doing this. I don't feel like doing that. Um, First thing I try to do is I try to express it to somebody else in the same space that I'm at. You know what I mean? I like I like having conversations of, man, I just ain't got it right now. I don't feel it. Like, or even outlets like this. Or I said a few chapters back when I was just like, man, there's for the first time I had that moment. I was like, do I really want to do this? Do I want to keep going? All of that. Like, it's good to just express it and say it out loud. Because it's all mental, in my opinion, right? It's just a moment of your mind just saying, like, nah. Because you realize, we talked about this before, right? We talked about those moments when you don't feel like recording, you don't feel like doing X, Y, and Z, but by the time you finish, you glad you did it. Or hey, I don't feel like meeting up with the fellas tonight. Like I really just stay. I'd rather stay at home and watch whatever, catch up with my show, just chill at the crib. But when you go out and you fellowship, you're like, damn, I'm glad I went out, man. I'm glad I got to catch up with the fellas. You know, and so it's one of those things. You got to kind of mentally force yourself to do it, and then base your opinion off of that. So for me, it's diving into whatever I don't feel motivated to do, or taking some time to acknowledge like why am I feeling this way? Am I going to am I doing too much? When's the last time I did something for myself? When's the last time I just sat down and did nothing? I think about these things and I'll actually schedule that time. So I will schedule time as just like I ain't doing shit. Or maybe like when Mo took those 3 weeks off, right? Maybe I like look at little moments where I'm like, hey man, I can do this week, but I'm not doing this and that. You know what I mean? So let's say I had 4 recordings. I'm gonna trim it down to 2 this week because I feel myself needing that extra time just to clear it off. And for most part, it's just me just not doing anything. It's just taking something off my plate. Like it just feels good to not have to do anything. Like a lot of times when you get up, you go to work, those days where I know like, oh, I ain't got shit tonight, I ain't got to record, like bet. Like those are some of the best feelings because it just gets you that recharge. You can actually be like, all right, what am I gonna do with that time? Am I gonna chill? Am I gonna go catch a movie? Whatever the case may be. But it feels like when you do have to do it, it almost feels like your day is shot. And too much of that can just build into unmotivation. Like, bro, this is all I'm doing. I don't feel like doing this shit. Uh, but the main part is, like I said, expressing it, acknowledging it, telling someone about it, so I can like, because a lot of people feel that way as well. And then once it's out, it's just like, all right, then like dive back into it or find something to spark that process. Those creative juices. Like I enjoy creating and figuring out a new way to approach something. So that's what gets me back in the groove. Like if we keep doing this the same way, at some point I'll be like, all right, then I gotta switch up something. We gotta add a segment. We gotta do this. Just because otherwise I won't feel the same excitement to come in and do what I'm supposed to do each week.
Interesting.
Kind of rambling. What about you? What do you do?
Uh, ooh, I don't know. If I'm being honest with you, I don't know. I usually try to bounce ideas, opinions, thoughts off of people whose feedback I trust. Um, but I don't know. I usually just get in my head about it. And if I'm unmotivated by stuff or something, I usually just shy away from it. Like I usually just that
Hmm.
feel like that's my brain telling me that I don't want to do this. And if I don't want to do it, then I'm not gonna do it. But sometimes that stuff is stuff that you have to do. Like I've never been in a situation where there've been times that I didn't want to record, but I have been. I wouldn't ever say that I've entered a record like unmotivated to do it. I don't think that I've ever had experienced that, but a little bit to what you said, like I used to be so like gung ho and fascinated and enthusiastic about planning shit around the recordings, planning like what me and you were doing for another week in the books, or planning for on deck, or planning for just the different recordings that I do. That used to be like my thing. That would give me a joke. But now that I do it so much, the planning part, which is probably the most important part, almost becomes is almost unmotivational to me at this point. And I'm looking for the motivation to kick back in. like working with you on when me and you do our thing on Mondays, and Dave, I said like, of course, it's been a breath of fresh air, but I'm doing it so much now, like that I'm missing the creative part of it, like not
Mm-hmm.
motivated from the creative part of it. And a lot of people think that the creative part of it is when we're here and we're doing this, but it's not. Like a lot of people can do this. They might not be able to do it as well as you do it, or as well as I do it, but they can do it. This isn't the creative part of it to me. This part comes easy. What the creative part of it is the expansion of it, the getting more people to hear it, the defining what it is, and in the definition of what it is, telling that story about it outside of me and you right here talking.
Yeah.
And I just haven't been motivated to do those things lately. And I'm wondering why. Maybe it's I'm burnt out from doing it so much, from so much recording, or maybe it's my the thing that I have as far as instant gratification, and I want stuff to happen now. Because even I can't say that it's a thing where I've made plans and plans and plans, and these things just don't happen, because everything that I planned for in one way or another has played out in this field that I set out to do. Like I think I talked about that. Me and you talked about it. Like everything that I planned to do, I've done it. But
Mm-hmm.
now in the planning stages, I'm like, shit, you've been doing this 15 years. Like, how long is it gonna take you to do this if y'all playing this? And I wouldn't even say negative thoughts, but thoughts like that entering my head in the sense of like, you should be more excited about this. You should be more motivated by this. You should be more like, there should be a joke or a umph about it. Now, when I do it, when me and you talked Monday last week, it was good. Like we did that. It felt great, like you said, after you do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But just the overall motivation of let's put our brains together and come up with a plan, that's been less motivating to me as of late for some reason.
That's something I've said before, just from the outside looking in. I'm naturally just curious as to what it looks like for you once you take some stuff off your plate and focus on the things you want to do. Like, I think for me personally, like in my opinion, I think your next thing isn't really, it's still recording, but it's also creating in avenues. Like you building a documentary from scratch is something that I think you would really get enjoyment out of. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Telling stories. Even if you say like I want to do a mini series, I want to do a series where I talk to people who do X, Y, and Z. And this is gonna be 6 episodes. I'm just gonna have seasons. It's just like a little mini series here and there. Like I just think that your motivation is gonna come from something you're not doing yet, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I just think that you even said it a little bit. Like you talked about you watched some movies and you had zero interest. And I was listening to the beginning of On Deck and you was just like, you might have caught me snoring on the such and such episode. Like you're spending time doing it and you're good at it and you're acknowledging your responsibility, but none of it, even from your point of view, is stuff that you want to do. You're there because you're a team player. I think once you start doing like that, clearing that day, almost that day mentality, hey, that's my Monday's like my Sunday. I'm doing what I want to. But the thing about that is, especially in this space, you can't pick things up and put it down. Like you got to lock in. So it takes away your time from the other stuff. So it's like, all
Mm-hmm.
right, then I can't. And that's the conundrum I found myself in it a lot of times, where it's like, y'all got this idea, that idea, but how am I going to do that with everything else? Like it just doesn't work. So you got to find out where those sacrifices are. And really, when you look around, and I know you'll probably feel the same way, even when there's moments that you don't feel like talking about a movie or going to watch movies, there's also a ton of other moments where like I'm here for this. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to have it. You know what I mean? So like when I look and if somebody was to ask me what would you cut, it's like I don't even know. Like because I enjoy doing all of these in some capacity, even though I can acknowledge that it might be a little too much. But whatever the case may be. So I think that, and that's natural, right? I think just in general, anytime you do something, and I want to applaud you because of something you just said, 15 years. There's got to be something that keeps you coming. Like, there's not a lot of people that will still stick with it. You know, you look around, there's not a lot of people that even do it for 1 year. Like it's hard. I think I read these stats before. Like to make it to 50 episodes or something, it's like 19%. Like people don't even get there. It's like 9% to make it to 100 episodes of a podcast. Like you've done over 100, almost 200 episodes of this one alone, on top of everything else. So that in itself is just saying a lot about where you are. Yeah, it's not motivating. So think about it from that point of view. What's gonna happen when it does? Like, oh shit, I'm back in my creative bag. I'm back and doing this. And I think it just comes with time where you just go, all right, then cool. Like I went through that with the Culture Guard when it's just like, all right, what else can this be? What else can this turn to? So that's why I started doing like the weekly film recommendations. Sometimes it ain't even just to make it stick. It's just like, let me just try it. Like I think we all reached that point. We talked about it before where we're not fond of the content creation or see ourselves as that. But I just made a decision like, let me just see what happens. You know what I mean? To see if this picks up and let me do it my way. And it maybe took 18 months to 2 years, bro, to really find something that I felt comfortable being myself. You know what I'm most proud of about those videos?
What's that?
I don't have any cuts. Like when you look at a lot of people's videos, you see the jumps where you can tell like they did this part, and now they piecing in another part and piecing in another part. Like I don't like it's literally me. This is how I feel. I'm gonna include the moments where I'm unsure, the moments where I'm looking to the side. You see me thinking, like all of that. I want it to be as authentic and just natural as possible. And like, what's one thing I know? I know film. Like, and I know people gonna hit me up and ask me what to watch. I bet. And the coolest thing about it was, I did 2 in a row. I didn't do anything that third week. I had people literally hit me up like, "Yo, you ain't give me nothing to watch." Like people were saying, like, "Yo, I watched such and such." My boy, since elementary school, texted me one day like, "Yo, I watched the Long Walk last night because you put it on your page. I fuck with it." Da 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 da. And I'm like, I'm putting these, you put it out there, but you don't know who really gonna do it. But there are people really out there like, nah, I really need something to watch. Like, and I know you fuck with movies, so I'll take your advice. And that shit cool as hell because you don't go into it. For some reason, we have the opposite thought. We always go into things, I won't say always, but for some reason, there's that voice that goes in saying, ain't nobody gonna watch this, ain't nobody gonna do this, ain't nobody listening to this. But you see people retweeting it and people not retweeting, but reposting it and leaving comments or reaching out to you personally, like, yo, where the movie this week? Or keep doing these, man. I think that's your lane. Like somebody told me, like, this is you. Like I'm watching this and this is you. And that's what made me feel good. And I'm like, all right, then bet. And that kind of gives you extra motivation too, in my sense, for my occasion. Because it's like, all right, then I feel like I'm walking in something that's my passion and my purpose. And the more I do it, the better I get at it. So the third one I just put out, I was fucking around with the little editing part. I learned how to put the pictures up over my face when I'm talking and have them disappear and all that shit. So that part is fun because I'm learning something new and it's a creative part. So starting it is like, I don't like that looks like too much work. And then you realize how easy some of it is. And oh shit, okay. All right, then I did that. All right, cool. And then, it just kind of sparks other ideas. So going back, just bringing it full circle, sometimes the motivation is just trying something different and not having any kind of motive for it. I don't have any end result. However this goes, it goes. But I just want to see if it works. And maybe it won't work. You know what I mean? Maybe I pick up something else. And now I already got another idea or series that I'm going to start releasing as well to build with the content. And that mainly just came from wanting to make sure Culture Garden is more than just a podcast that talks about nostalgic films. Like we're a media group. We can talk about current event stuff. Shout out to you and AB, because y'all have motivated me, man, to figure out what does an on deck for movies look like. You know what I mean? Like I don't think it could be weekly, but literally once a month. Just looking at a rundown, what's coming out this month? What news broke this month? What can we sit there at the top of each month and just be like, all right, then this is what we're excited about, and literally just do a rundown. You know what I mean? Such and such. School was just telling me today they're making an Ocean's prequel, Ocean's 11 prequel.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know what I mean? So I'm just looking like, all right, then bet. Let's just take a few minutes, talk about that, give our thoughts, and then move on to the next thing. So one thing flows into another thing, and the next thing you know, you start cooking. So I think it's a mix of both what we said, man. Like dive into it and also take some time back and just be like, you know what? Let me let my brain work. That was the hardest part. The hardest part was waiting to see what felt right. I wanted to do things, but nothing felt natural. And when it did, you just kind of know. So
That's good.
yeah, my brother. Yeah, it was a pretty longer touring pages, but it was good to get here. The main topic, like I said, we'll have a conversation in September about that because there's another topic we want to get to. We'll have a woman on to discuss it a little bit further. But with that being said, we appreciate all y'all out there for reaching out. Continue to leave comments. Continue to DM. Let us know what you think. Question of the week's the whole nine. Thank you all. With that being said, we out. We'll catch y'all next week for First Fridays with Dave. Peace.
Peace.